Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We are live for the Week 12 NFL Pick Show, NFL Picks live stream. I do have a couple of quick pieces of housekeeping to go through before we get set to start the show. So, the first of that being, you may have noticed yesterday, I uploaded my first short. So, I'm going to be getting into the YouTube short content, which I've never been known for short content. You all know me. I just do this and just talk until no one will listen anymore. But I think YouTube Shorts is an element of YouTube that I've really underutilized in the past. So I did my first short yesterday talking about the waving of Melvin Gordon, and I think I might even have another one to do now because earlier today the Rams waved Darrell Henderson. So we'll talk about that when we talk about the Rams game. So I'm going to start doing some of that, a little more like breaking newsy and some thought piece short content. So I hope you wind up enjoying that. And the second piece of housekeeping is we only got about a week or so to go. My Movember campaign is still going. It's going faster than my mustache because the growth is not super stellar this year, but I am still fundraising for Movember. The link to that is in the description to this live stream. So if you have the means, I would absolutely love it if you were able to contribute to my campaign. If not, that's cool. Share the link if you want to. There's all kinds of things you can do to help out. If you're able to contribute, that's incredible. We got about 8 days left of my Movember campaign. So if you're able to do that, that would be fantastic. I'm going to go over here and grab my green notebook of destiny, and we will get started with the picks. All right. So we will grab the link, go to Twitter, boom, and go Week 12 stream is now hashtag NFL Twitter. Whoops. There we go. NFL Twitter, go. Got that. All right. I don't know whether the microphone picked that up or not, but somebody just laid on their horn for a good 7-8 seconds, like right outside my window, like Andre the Giant farting on the set of The Princess Bride. Are you okay, Andre? I am now, boss. All right. We're going to go to the programs. We are going to grab Audacity. We're going to, of course, skip the update as per usual. And we'll get started on the recording there. That sounds decent. All right. And then I also want to open this. We're on week 12. Cool. Cool. I see Gorian's already dropping wisdom in the chat. That's great. We will get to that in just a minute. So here we go, folks. Without further ado, we're going to get started on the Week 12 show. We'll give you the old TV countdown in 5, 4, 3. What's happening, everybody? Justin, Bridgewater's finest on YouTube, Blockbuster_guy on Twitter, fueled as always by the incredible folks at Nerd Tees, and welcome to week 12 of my weekly NFL football pick show for the 2022 NFL regular season and postseason, our dirty dozenth week doing these live streams. I hope you've been enjoying them. I know I certainly have. They brought a whole new element to this game here, and I've been really appreciating it. So, how did we do in week 11? Where do we stand to the season so far? And how does that lead us in to the Thanksgiving weekend slate of games? Happy Turkey Week to all of my friends south of the 49th parallel. So in week 11, went 9-5 straight up. Not going to argue with that too often. 9-5 makes me 95, 68, and 1 on the season, just under 58% straight up. Obviously, cruising to get that closer to 60 here in the next couple of weeks. I think that's more than achievable for us. Now, unfortunately, against the spread and over under, I did take a step back, and certainly against the spread, we've had a nice little run here over the last month. I think 4 straight weeks of at least 500. But against the spread, I went 5-8-1 in week 11, which actually knocks my record a game under 500 on the season, 79, 80, and 5. Now on the totals, I was 6-8, so I was also under 500 there as well. Even money on that record at 82 and 82. My platinum, gold, silver, and bronze picks, my top picks from week 11, they also kind of relatively struggled last week, only went 5-7 across those picks. The bronze pick was 1-2, now 19, 13, and 1 on the year. The Chiefs beat the Chargers, but Buffalo failed to cover against the spread, and the Rams and Saints failed to stay under their point total. The silver pick, which is 2-1, remains my strongest pick on the season so far at 21-12. So that's doing exceptionally well. Is that number right? It is right. Sorry, little brain fart, no worries. The Giants lost to Detroit, but Carolina covered against the spread, and the Panthers and Ravens stayed under on the point total last week. The gold pick and the platinum pick were also only 1-2 in week 11. The gold pick now 17, 15, and 1 on the year. The platinum pick 19, 13, and 1, equaling the record for the bronze. In the gold pick, the Bengals did beat the Steelers, but the Giants obviously failed to cover against the spread, and the Bengals and Steelers actually failed to stay under their point total. With the platinum pick, Buffalo beat Cleveland. That game, of course, taking place in Detroit. The Chiefs, however, failed to cover against the spread, and the Cowboys and Vikings failed to go over their point total. Well, certainly wasn't Dallas's fault. Taking a look at the Bridgewater's finest straight up pick 'em pool for season 11 of this show. I moved back a little bit, 10th place now out of 36, dropping 3 spots. I was 7th at the end of last week. 811 of 1,311 possible confidence points. It's just under 62%, and I'm starting to push the leader. I only trail the lead here by 37 points, I believe. So definitely starting to push up on the people at the top of this pool. I did bring in 75 of 105 confidence points last week for just under 71.5%. Was not good enough to win the week, however. Shout out to our week 11 winner, Anthony Simone, who goes 11-3 straight up last week, 94 of 105 possible confidence points, a clip of 89.5%. So an excellent performance there from Anthony Simone. AIM 2022 continues to lead the way, 98, 65, and 1, so 3 games up on me. 848 out of 1,311 possible confidence points, a clip of 64.7%. Anthony Simone wins week 11, and AIM 2022 continues to pace the field. Let's see. We got Martin in the chat now, too. Thank you, Martin, for stopping in yet again. Justin, I'm sorry you didn't choose the Commanders over the Texans. 13-point spread. Yeah. Again, those numbers. I'm also falling into a trap with the Houston Texans. We'll talk about it a little bit later, but I'm falling into a Texans trap. We're going to take a peek now into Fantasy Corner, which is, of course, presented by the Dynasty Trade Calculator. My affiliate link to the DTC is available in the description to this live stream, and it is one of the absolute best resources available to you online for Dynasty, Keeper, and long-term fantasy football. You get trade evaluations, player rankings, podcasts. It does not matter how your league is configured. The DTC makes it work for you, giving you specified, curated rankings and trade evaluations to make you a better dynasty and keeper fantasy football manager, like it has done for me. I've won championships with the help of the Dynasty Trade Calculator. You can too. For as little as $3, you can gain access to this incredible tool, and my affiliate link is down below. Now, I actually made the DTC proud this past week. I picked up wins in both the Professionals Dynasty Fantasy Football as well as the Ante & Co. Dynasty Fantasy Football League. I beat Keith in the Professionals League to move my record up to 2-9, no longer in the basement of that league, so hurrah. And I picked up an underdog win over Steven Docklove, who was one of the top couple of teams in the league up to that point. I beat him fairly soundly to move my record to 6-5. Now, I've got week 12 matchups coming up against Conrad in the Professionals and Brian in the Ante & Co. It's a projected loss for me right now against Conrad, one of the better rosters in the league. With Brian, it's too close to call. I think it's within 4 or 5 points either way. So too close to call on that one. Couple of tough matchups coming up. I really need to win in Ante & Co. because we're getting very close to the playoffs and there's not much margin for error there. And I'll take this opportunity, as I always do, to remind you that if you go to the description of this live stream or of the VOD, the description of the audio file on whatever your podcast format is, however you interact with this show, you're going to find all of my results from last week, all of my straight up against the spread and over under plays for week 12 in the NFL. You're going to find information on joining the Bridgewater's Finest Pick'em Pool for season 11 of this show. You're going to find information on joining the NFL YouTube Prognosticators Facebook page, and you're going to find information on my great friends and sponsors at Nerd Teas and Coffee Bean. It's not too late for Christmas yet. We're just entering Black Friday week now, but it's getting close, folks, and you are going to want to go to nerdteas.ca and take a peek at what Nerd Teas and Coffee Bean has to offer for you. Dozens and dozens of incredible loose leaf tea blends, dozens of incredible flavored coffee blends for no matter what your palate is. Nerdteas.ca has got something for you, and I've got something for you too, which is called a promo code. The promo code is BW Finest, as you already know, and that's going to save you 15% at checkout. You're going to get free shipping in Canada on any order over $100, or if you're in the US, you're going to get a great conversion rate on the US dollar. Now, today's blend is one of the dessert blends of tea, Black Forest Cake, and you take a whiff, and it smells like your favorite bakery, and you gotta love that. It tastes incredible too. Nerdteas.ca, dozens and dozens of incredible options for you. Use BW Finest to save your 15%. Get your free shipping. Find yourself something to love, or find someone you love something to love. You can do it on nerdteas.ca. Martin saying if the Texans wanted to win, they should have stuck with Deshaun, but he may have really worn out his welcome in Texas. That's one way of putting it. That's certainly one way of putting what happened with Deshaun Watson while he was a Texan. Yeah, I mean, I still like Davis Mills. He's not great. He's not the quarterback I kind of wanted him to be. I still like him, but he's not the quarterback I wanted him to be. Dameon Pierce is incredible. And again, to me, it's hashtag Nico Collins season. And I think we're going to see that in the next couple of weeks. He had 7 targets again last week, 17 over his last 2 weeks. So he's going to get fed the football. And I think it's coming. But yeah, I mean, for the rest of this season, they're not great. They're not great. Now, without further ado, we have a full slate of games, a full 16 game slate of games here in week 12. We are going to waste no more time. We are going to get underway with the first of our trio of Thursday night games for the Thanksgiving holiday. Once again, happy Thanksgiving week to all of my American viewers. I hope you have an incredible and safe week. Hang out with your family, eat copious amounts of turkey, and just have yourself a good time. So we have three, of course, Thanksgiving games on Thursday, and that's going to begin in the early time slot with the Buffalo Bills traveling to Detroit to take on the Detroit Lions. So Buffalo and Detroit have kind of an even record over their last 5 games. Both of these teams have won 3 of their last 5. And interestingly enough, they kind of mimic each other in some really interesting ways. Like I took a look this week. I tried to be less statistical this week if possible, but I looked at over the last 4 weeks, so weeks 8 to 11. How many times did a team score more than 30 points? And how many times did a team give up fewer than 20 points? So that was kind of my measuring stick as I went into this week. And you look at the Bills and the Lions, you don't think of these two teams as being on equal plane, but the Detroit Lions have scored more than 30 points twice in the last 4 weeks, and they've given up fewer than 20 points twice in the last 4 weeks. You look at Buffalo, they've done that one time apiece. So it kind of, when that's your measuring stick, the 30-20, when that's your measuring stick, Detroit obviously is playing some decent football, and the fact that they've won 3 of their last 5, it really is a nice feather in their cap, and they are having a better season than I think a lot of people gave them credit for possibly having. I mean, I do still think the Buffalo Bills are going to win this game. Buffalo is fairly successful on Thanksgiving. I mean, Detroit usually always gets a home Thanksgiving game, isn't it? Isn't it Detroit and Dallas usually always get a home game in on Thanksgiving? Is that the way that usually goes? Both of these teams find success on Thanksgiving. Buffalo, top to bottom, I think is just a better football team. I have no limitations on how I feel about Josh Allen and the way he's playing right now. So I have to give this one to the Bills. We're going to take Buffalo here on the road in Detroit. Bills get the win over the Lions. However, against the spread, the Lions are taking 9.5 points here as a home dog. And I think I have to take those points. I don't see this game as a blowout. I see this game as high scoring. Spoilers, I guess. I'm taking the over, even though this is the far and away the biggest total of the week. I'm taking the over on it. But I don't see this game as a blowout. I think Detroit hangs with them. I think Detroit can hang with them on the ground. And I think surprisingly, I think Detroit hangs with them through the air. I don't think they win the game, but I'm taking those 9.5 points on the hometown Lions. It does insulate against a big upset, and it's the way that favorites are hitting this year, which is to say not a crazy amount. 9.5 points is just too many. And like I said, total in the game 54.5. I'm way over on this one. I think this game gets into the 60s with relative ease. So we're going to go over 54.5 points in Buffalo, Detroit. I'm going Bills 37, Lions 30. Very high scoring, fireworky type game. Buffalo gets the win, but give me those 9.5 points on the Detroit Lions. Second Thanksgiving Day game is the New York Giants in Dallas taking on the Cowboys. One of the very few divisional matchups we have on the full slate this week. Giants and Cowboys have both won 3 of their last 5 games. So on that level, they're relatively comparable. The New York Giants are struggling a bit offensively. They have not scored more than 30 points in any game over the last 4 weeks. Dallas has done so twice in that same span, and both of these teams have kept one opponent over that same span under 20. So the defenses may be playing relatively comparable. And again, of course, this all depends on competition. It all depends on the teams that they actually played. But in terms of the results on paper, at least that's relatively even. But you got to give the offensive upside here to the Cowboys, especially where they're one of the top teams in the league in terms of the turnover differential, which is, I think they're second or third in the NFL right now behind Philadelphia. There's another game with a really big spread. In fact, the exact same spread as the previous game at -9.5. The Cowboys are favored here at home. And Dallas, I think, is like the quintessential Thanksgiving Day team. Even when Dallas hasn't had good football teams, there's something about Dallas playing on Thanksgiving. They have an exceptional rate of success on Thanksgiving. I think that continues this week. I'm going to take the Dallas Cowboys here at home to get the win over the New York Giants. And even though it's a divisional game, Dallas over New York is my silver pick straight up this week. The Dallas Cowboys beating the New York Giants, my silver pick straight up. Now, as I mentioned, Dallas is favored here by 9.5 points, laying a ton of points here at home. And it's not that I don't agree that they should be laying this many points, because I mean, what a performance last week. But I do also think it's something of an overreaction to the performance last week. I'm going to take the points here on the Giants. They're a very good underdog against the spread team. It's a division matchup. I don't see this game as a blowout. So I'm going to take that +9.5 on New York. And as a matter of fact, I like it so much. The Giants +9.5 is my platinum pick against the spread this week. Giants +9.5, my platinum pick against the spread. So I like the Cowboys to win, but I don't like it to be a blowout by any means. Total in the game is set at 45.5 points. This is kind of a lean for me, but I think this is an under. I think these two teams play each other exceptionally closely because they both had a ton of success this season. They're division rivals. They play each other all the time, know each other like the backs of their hands. I think this is a relatively tight matchup. So I'm going to grab the under here as a bit of a lean on 45.5. I can see it going either way. I'm going to go under on that total in New York, Dallas. Let's go Cowboys 24, Giants 16. So Cowboys win. Give me the +9.5 on the Giants, and I'll take the under on the point total. So what have we got in the chat now? We got Gorian says Buffalo, Dallas, Minnesota money line, Baltimore, Miami, Kansas City money line. Fair enough. Let's see, Gorian, Tennessee, Indianapolis, San Francisco money line. Interesting. Martin has a couple more things here. If the Texans wanted to win, they should have stuck with Deshaun. Then says Davis is having a rougher season than last season. Absolutely. But Dameon is awesome. Yeah, Dameon Pierce is the key to that whole offense, man. Like he is a dynamic running back to watch. We close off our slate of Thursday Thanksgiving games with the Minnesota Vikings at home playing host to the New England Patriots. Minnesota coming off of a game where they got absolutely exposed by the Dallas Cowboys, just absolutely beaten up, had no response for anything in that football game, but they've still won 4 of their last 5. You take a look at their opposition. Maybe you can say it's been a bit of a light schedule, but there are definitely teams in this league that have had a lighter schedule than the Vikings have had this year and have had nowhere near the level of success. I'm not willing to say that they got exposed. I think this was a blip on the radar. I think they ran into a Sunday buzzsaw. And it just that everything fell in place against them in that game. I'm not willing to say, oh, the Vikings have always been this bad. They've been frauds. They've been masquerading. I'm not willing to say that yet. Depending on what happens this week as they play host to the New England Patriots in the final Thanksgiving game, we'll have to see. Both of these teams have won 4 of their last 5 games. So big ups to the Patriots. They're quietly putting together a pretty strong stretch of games. Now, in our 30-20 comparison here, the Vikings have scored more than 30 points twice in the last 4 weeks. The Patriots have not done so. So the Patriots have been winning games on the strength of their defense. 3 games in the last 4 weeks, the Patriots have held their opponent to under 20 points. So they've been winning on the defensive side of the ball specifically. The Vikings, to their credit, do have 1 game in that same span where they kept an opponent under 20. Part of the Vikings' bread and butter this year is that they've been exceptionally good in terms of the turnover ratio. Very positive turnover ratio for the Vikings this season, one of the top marks in the entire league. They need to be that opportunistic defense, steal a possession or two. Maybe that's what they need to win football games like this. But this is an exceptionally close game. Vegas, I don't think really knows which way to go with this one. The Vikings are a marginal favorite at home, -2.5. I like the Vikings to win this game. I think they get back on track. I think they use that opportunistic defense, protect the football. I like the Minnesota Vikings to get the win on Thanksgiving at home against the Patriots. On the line, like I mentioned, Minnesota, a 2.5 point favorite right now. I like them to win. It's a relatively small price to pay. So we're going to go ahead and lay the -2.5 points on the Minnesota Vikings. Total in the game set at 42.5 points. Again, I kind of feel an under in this one. I don't think I think the Patriots defense is good enough to keep the Vikings offense at bay. And if I still think Minnesota's going to win the game, which I do, I think you kind of got to stick with the under because I don't think you see a ton from the Patriots side offensively. So let's go under the 42.5 point total. It's such a beatable number, but we'll stay under it anyway. That's the way the league is going this year. Under 42.5 points in Minnesota, New England. Let's go Vikings 23, Patriots 16. Vikings win, Vikings cover, and give me the under on the points. So that's how I think your Thanksgiving Day slate is going to go. Buffalo, Dallas, and Minnesota picking up wins. Buffalo 37-30, Dallas 24-16, and Minnesota 23-16. Now, on with the rest of the week. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Cleveland Browns. This game emanating from Cleveland, and this a battle of two teams that are underwhelming lately. One you would kind of maybe potentially expect that. One you would certainly not. The Tampa Bay Bucks have only won 2 of their last 5 games. So they're only 2-3 in that stretch. Cleveland's 1-4. Feels like the wheels have kind of fallen off that team. Feels like they probably should have traded Kareem Hunt at the deadline like they were trying or at least exploring the possibility of doing. I don't again, we mentioned it before, but Deshaun cannot get to that team fast enough. And I guess it's next week that Deshaun makes his season debut. Of course, the game against Houston. So, but man, he can't get there fast enough. But the Bucks, look, only 2-3 in their last 5. They are coming off the bye, which will certainly help them. Hopefully, get their minds right because again, their division is completely up for grabs. It's still completely up for grabs. That division is anybody's. So all you need to do is reach out and grab it. And Tampa Bay certainly has the team talented enough to be able to reach out and do that. Cleveland has scored more than 30 points once in the last 4 weeks. Tampa Bay has not done that. So any success that the Bucks have had has come on the defensive side, where twice in the last 4 weeks they have held opponents to fewer than 20 points. Cleveland has done that once as well, but there's just not much faith on my end in this Cleveland Browns team. They're a team that turns the ball over too much. They don't generate a ton of turnovers on the defensive side. And if you're the Browns, you have to play a perfect game to be in it to win games, certainly against good teams. And I would still consider this Tampa Bay Bucks team to be a good team. So if you're going to be turning the ball over and not generating them on your own side, I think it's going to be a long week for you. I think that's what's going to happen this week. I'm really heavy on the Bucks here to get this win in Cleveland, so much so that the Tampa Bay Bucks over the Cleveland Browns is my bronze pick straight up this week. Tampa Bay over Cleveland, my bronze pick straight up. On the line, Cleveland is taking 3.5 points here as a home dog. And I was actually super tempted to grab this line because it is having to buy the extra hook if you want to lay the points on the favorite. And Tampa hasn't exactly been inspiring a ton of confidence lately in folks watching their games or invested in them winning. So I was really tempted for a while to grab this number, but it's so difficult to cover, but at the same time, it's so easy with the team that Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Bucks have. Like they have the offensive pieces to win this game by 25. So I was like I'm sitting here like humming and hawing about 3.5 points, but that's the way that it goes. Like that hook You got to take it into consideration. So it was a tough call for me, but I am going to lay the -3.5 on Tampa Bay. I do think they cover this number. I think Actually, I think this kind of winds up being a bit of a virtuoso defensive performance for the Tampa Bay Bucks. And leading into that, I'm taking the under on the point total as well. The point total is also 42.5, like it was in the previous game. I'm going to lean under on this one. And I think the Bucks defense is the one to ride this week. So let's grab the under of 42.5 points in Tampa Bay, Cleveland. Let's go Bucks 27, Browns 10. Tampa wins. Tampa covers the -3.5, as it turns out, with ease, and give me the under on the point total. Let's ride that Bucks defense. Hey, y'all want a preview of the AFC Championship game? Because I think it's what's coming up next. The Cincinnati Bengals and the Tennessee Titans. Low key, this Tennessee Titans team is elite. And I think this may very well be the game of the week because these two teams are both running hot. They're both playing exceptionally good football. They know their lane, they know how they win games, and they execute on that exceptionally well. So, we are going to take a peek here at a Bengals and Titans matchup where both of these teams have won 4 of their last 5 games. So, both of these teams come into this game pretty hot. The Titans have the benefit of the long week where they played Green Bay, I believe it was. Yeah, they played Green Bay on Thursday night last week. So they do have that extra couple of days of rest. The Titans have not scored more than 30 points over the span of the last 4 weeks. However, the defense has allowed fewer than 20 3 times in those 4 weeks. When you look at the Cincinnati Bengals, they are on the tail end of back-to-back road games. Their offense has put up more than 30 twice in the last 4 weeks. Defensively, they have not kept an opponent to fewer than 20 points over that same span. So the Bengals are doing it on the offensive side. The Titans are definitely doing it on the defensive side. One thing that I think becomes the absolute difference maker in this game is the fact that the Bengals might have to do this without Joe Mixon. So Joe Mixon suffering a concussion last week. They're calling it a head injury. It was a concussion. So he's in protocol, or if he's not in protocol, he has to be in protocol by now. So, but we know with the way that the league is treating concussions this year, that it's not a foregone conclusion that people will clear concussion protocol in enough time to play the next week. Yes, Samaj Pirine had 3 touchdowns last week, and that was pretty cool to see, actually. But people are doing the same thing that they were doing with Donta Foreman, which was overreacting to a massive game where a player scores almost as many touchdowns as they've scored in their entire career up to that point. That's kind of where we're at with Samaj Pirine. So the difference between Joe Mixon and Samaj Pirine is massive. That's not me saying that I think Joe Mixon's not going to play, but we don't know if he's going to play or not. And if the Bengals have to come into this game against an exceptionally good defense who plays exceptionally good defense, not having their all-star running back, that is going to be a difficult road for the Cincinnati Bengals to try to overcome. And I think it's going to be a little too much. I like the Tennessee Titans in this spot. They're a marginal dog here at home. I think the Titans get the win here. Tennessee gets the win over the Cincinnati Bengals. On the line, like I said, Tennessee is a marginal home dog here. They are taking 2.5 points here as the home dog. Obviously, I like Tennessee to win, so give me that plus 2.5. And as a matter of fact, I like that plus 2.5 so much that Tennessee plus 2.5 points is my gold pick against the spread this week. Tennessee plus the 2.5, my gold pick against the spread. Exceptionally confident in the Titans' ability to win this game, or if they lose, maybe a last second field goal. I still think they cover this plus 2.5. Total in the game set at 42.5, our third straight game with a total set at 42.5. And now you're seeing Vegas catch up to how poorly the over is actually performing this season. Like I've been keeping the stats on it. Let's open this up and take a peek. So far this season, all games in the NFL are 70, 93, and 1 to the over. So like 23 games under 500 in terms of hitting Vegas's overs. So Vegas is catching on to that, and they're giving us lower and lower and lower and lower totals. That's 3 straight games now where all the totals are 42 and a half. This is the game that I'm actually going to go ahead and grab the over. Yes, Tennessee's defense is exceptional, but I do still think that when the Cincinnati Bengals team is going to score their points, I just think Tennessee is going to score a couple more. So give me over 42 and a half points in Tennessee, Cincinnati. Let's go Titans 24, Bengals 21. Titans win, Titans cover, and give me the over on the points. Let's see. Martin in the chat says, poor Stefanski. It's true. My mind right says, I like the Browns. I don't like Tampa Bay in cold weather. The other player's not Brady. Yeah, fair enough. I mean, to your point, like Brady, played all those years in very cold weather. So that's, it's an interesting thought for sure. Leaning on the Titans also. Chase also likely back. They're very non-committal on whether Jamar will be ready for that game. The coach seemed very non-committal in all the interview stuff that I saw. So he might be back, but especially if they're missing Jamar Chase, like this, a very difficult mountain to climb. I really like the Titans in that spot. And looks like Martin's going with me. Awesome. All right. The aforementioned Houston Texans at the Miami Dolphins. Two teams going in exact opposite directions. The Dolphins have won 4 of their last 5. Houston is on a 5-game losing streak. So over the last 4 weeks, the Dolphins have scored more than 30 points twice. They've allowed fewer than 20 points once. So they got some results within this paradigm that we're using to look at this week. For Houston, they have not scored more than 30 points at any point in the last 4 weeks, and they've only held one opponent in that same span to less than 20 points. Miami also coming into this game fresh off the bye week. They'll be extra rested, ideally extra healthy, should be all hands on deck. So this to me feels like a layup win for the Dolphins. Like this feels like as much of a layup as humanly possible. So that's why I'm taking the ticket. No, I'm kidding. I'm not taking the Texans. We're definitely on the Dolphins to win this game. And you might be asking yourself, is this in your platinum, gold, silver, and bronze picks? No, it is not. I feel exceptionally confident in Miami winning this game, but it's not in those top 4 picks. And I'll tell you why. It's not there because I love the plays on the 2 numbers. I love the plays against the spread, and I love the plays on the totals. And one thing that I said when I started this season was I was not going to have the same game in all 3. So I wasn't going to have the same game in my platinum, gold, silver, and bronze straight up against the spread and over under. I'll have the same game in 2 of those, but I won't put the same game in all 3 because it feels like cheating. Like it feels like you have an instance like this, and it's like, okay, well, I'm going to put this game in all 3. It's also less interesting. It allows me to put fewer games in there, which is not really what I want to do. It's not really the test that I'm looking to give myself. So I did not include this game straight up in my platinum, gold, silver, and bronze, but I am exceptionally confident in the Miami Dolphins. So let's go ahead and grab the Dolphins to win this game. On the line, Miami is laying -13 at home against Houston. Now, we did, in fact, have a double-digit spread that covered last week. It wasn't one that we originally thought was going to be a double-digit spread, but it was the Monday Night Football game in Mexico City. Originally, San Francisco was laying 8 in that game. But Then on the news that Kyler Murray was not going to play or was possibly not going to play, the line climbed and climbed and climbed and climbed. And I think by kickoff was minus 10 and a half. So San Francisco covered that number with ease. So they did cover a number that was double digits. It still doesn't happen very often. The other ones, I don't think either of them covered. Like Baltimore and Carolina plus 12 and a half. I don't believe that covered last week. Let's pop over here and take a look. So yeah, Carolina plus 12 and a half. That did not cover last week. And wasn't there another one? Was there another one last week? I guess not. Cleveland was 8.5. I could have swore there was another double-digit spread. But we go back to what Kat said about those double-digit spreads. This is a natural double-digit spread. I'm taking the points with the Houston Texans. 13 points is just too many with the way the NFL is going this year. So we are going to go ahead and grab those plus 13 on the Houston Texans, even though they're not a good football team. They're a bad football team. We talked about it very early in this episode. They've got like 2 or 3 good pieces, but they're not a good football team. I'm still going to take those plus 13 points. Total in this game set at 46 and a half, and I feel exceptionally good about the under in this football game. We could see a situation where Houston, their offense is doing nothing. We could see a situation where the defenses maybe show up, come to play a little bit more, but I love the under in this game. So we're going to go under the 46 and a half points. So both of those plays are in my platinum, gold, silver, and bronze this week. Houston plus 13 and Houston and Miami under 46 and a half are my silver picks respectively against the spread and over under. Houston plus 13, Houston and Miami under 46 and a half points. We are going to go Miami 24, Houston 14. Dolphins win, Texans cover. Give me the under on the points. Gorian says Colts opened plus 11 at Pro Line. That must have been last week against Philly. Wow, that's aggressive. Because I mean, when I did the show last week, I got that at plus 6.5. So that's right. We talked about that last week. That's very aggressive. Very aggressive. But there, even in an instance like that, what happened? It was a 1-point game. So these double-digit spreads just are not. They're not hitting. They're almost bait. We can almost call them bait at this point. Up next is the Chicago Bears and the New York Jets, and I have one very simple question that I want to ask you. Who's going to be playing quarterback for either one of these teams? Justin Fields has a dislocated shoulder. Granted, I don't think it's his throwing shoulder, but he's still got a dislocated shoulder, exceptionally painful to try to play through. And with the Jets, they just flat out told their quarterback, yo, your job isn't safe. You might not even be starting this week. So who are the quarterbacks going to be in this this matchup of league powerhouses, Chicago and friggin' New York? By the way, I put this on Twitter a little earlier today. Today is the 10-year anniversary of the butt fumble. So happy anniversary, everybody. The 10-year anniversary of the butt fumble, and the Jets still have not figured out their quarterback situation. That just seems completely unacceptable. You've had a decade since your quarterback ran into his own offensive lineman, hit the turf, and fumbled the ball, and you still haven't figured out your quarterback situation. That's insanity. So the Jets, for everything that you can say about them and how much their offense has struggled, and it has, they've won 3 of their last 5 games. So they are getting it done. They're mostly getting it done on the defensive side of the ball. They have not scored more than 30 points over the last 4 weeks. However, the defense twice has kept an opponent under 20. Chicago, for their right, have put up more than 30 points once. The defense, not where it's been in years past. Every opponent that Chicago's had over the last 4 weeks has scored more than 20 points on them. And Chicago is coming into this game on the tail end of back-to-back road games, winners of only one of their last five. So despite all the incredible things that Justin Fields has been able to do offensively from the quarterback position, it's not necessarily translating to wins. I think I got to lean on the Jets here, especially with the possibility that Fields may be limited or not playing in this game at all. I think I got to lean on the Jets here. We're going to grab the New York Jets at home to get the win over the Chicago Bears. But full transparency, if this game was in Chicago, I'd probably be taking the Bears. On the line, the Jets are laying 4.5 points here as a home favorite, but I am not. I will not be laying those points. When you don't know who the quarterback is going to be for the team that's favored, it's the favorite's job to cover the line, to cover the number. This is what your number is, cover it. The onus and the responsibility is on the favorite to cover that number. When the favorite doesn't know who their quarterback is going to be, or it hasn't been announced who the quarterback is going to be yet, it's exceptionally difficult to lay those points. If this was 2.5, I'd probably lay it. 4.5, I'm not going to, because Chicago could easily win this game outright. So give me the plus 4.5 on the Chicago Bears. Total in the game set at 39.5 points. This is a play on the number. It's such a beatable number. I do think both of these teams get into the 20s. So I got to take the over here. Over 39.5 points in Chicago, New York. Let's go Jets 24, Bears 23. So Jets win, Bears cover. Give me the over on the points. Chad Suzka. Good day, all. Poor Winnipeg in the CFL. Choked like Calgary. What a bad taste in the mouth, eh? Look, that Grey Cup was everything. Everything that anybody could ask for. What an incredible football game. Back and forth, lead changes in the final quarter. Just what an incredible game. I was so crazy impressed with that football game. Hold, please. And we're back. Let's hit the midway point in the week with the Atlanta Falcons on the road in Washington to take on the Commanders. And don't look now, but Washington's won 4 of their last 5 games. This Commanders team is playing some exceptionally good football, and it's on both sides. The Commanders have scored more than 30 points in a game in the last 4 weeks, and twice have kept an opponent under 20. So they're doing it on offense, they're doing it on defense, playing probably the best football that they've played all season long with Taylor Heineke under center. Atlanta, only 2 wins in their last 5 games. They have scored more than 30 points at one point in the last 4. The defense, however, has not held an opponent under 20 points. Atlanta also going to be coming into this game without their prized new tight end. Kyle Pitts has an MCL injury that I believe it's a torn MCL, but I can't say specifically. What I can say specifically is he has been moved to IR. We may not see Kyle Pitts again this season, which is a massive blow to the Atlanta Falcons. Who knows? Maybe we might see him again. I don't think IR right now completely disqualifies somebody from coming back this year or even playing in the playoffs if Atlanta would happen to squeak in to win the division or something. So we might see him again this year, but chances are we probably won't, which sucks. It looked like he was finally kind of maybe starting to hit a bit of a stride here, and his usage was starting to pick up. Completely inopportune time, obviously, as if there's a good time to get injured, but completely inopportune time for him to get hurt. I have one simple question that I have to ask myself and answer when it comes to the Washington Commanders. Do I believe it's real? Like 4 wins in 5 games, the offense kind of clicking along a little bit, the defense starting to hit their stride. I can believe about the defense. But like, do I really believe that this is like a 6-5 football team? I mean, they are. That's what the record is. But there's what you are and there's what people believe that you are. And I just think it's kind of smoke and mirrors. I don't look at this Commanders team as a team that is one to challenge for a playoff spot. You know what I mean? And 6-5 right now, that's what that is. It's at least in the conversation for a playoff spot. And I just don't think the Commanders are that. I think they might be on like they're on a hot run, but I don't think they're an exceptionally good football team. I just don't. Like maybe Taylor Heineke's just the second coming of Ryan Fitzpatrick and there's just magic when he plays. But I don't know. I just don't. It just, to me, it's not real. To me, it's smoke and mirrors. So I'm actually going to grab the Atlanta Falcons here, even though the Falcons haven't exactly been lighting the place on fire lately. But I don't know. I just don't see it. So I'm going to grab the Falcons here on the road in Washington, despite the Kyle Pitts injury. I'm going to grab Atlanta to get the win over Washington. On the line, Commanders are laying 4 points here as the home favorite. I like Atlanta to win, so give me the +4 on the Falcons. It's worth noting, Falcons are exceptionally good this year against the spread as underdogs. Total in the game set at 41.5 points. Once again, it's just such a beatable number. So I think we're going to go ahead and take the over here, over 41.5 points in Atlanta, Washington. Let's go Falcons 23, Commanders 20. Atlanta wins, Atlanta covers, and give me the over on the points. Let's see. Gorian has some stuff in the chat here from Ari Mirov at my sports update. Sunday will mark 15 years since the death of former Washington safety Sean Taylor. Oh, yes. The Commanders announced they'll unveil a new statue. Oh, that's cool. That's awesome. I mean, that's definitely an emotional lift for them, and you can't discount the potency of that in the results of what you see on the field, for sure. Atlanta and all players will wear number 21 decal on their helmets. That's very cool. That's nice. They're doing right by his memory. That's very good. Kyle Pitts has an MCL tear. Okay, fair enough. Take Heineken. I like Heineken. I like Heineke too. I don't know. It just still feels like there's something about that that's just smoke and mirrors. It just still doesn't feel real. Chad Suska says I took Atlanta +4. Awesome. All right, the audio is still recording, which is always a good sign. Let's go to the back half of the week, and we will start with the game that I publicly called for on Twitter to co-opt a line from my good friend Gio, canceled due to lack of interest. The Carolina Panthers at home taking on the Denver Broncos. And literally, like this game has a point total of 36.5. Like, can we just not say we did? Like, this is going to be a bad football game. And it's a football game featuring two teams that have been making a little bit of news over the last couple of days. For the Denver Broncos, I made a short about it yesterday. They released Melvin Gordon. They waived him. He cleared waivers today. So he is officially a free agent, free to sign with anybody. So they got rid of Melvin Gordon out of their backfield. It looks like it is, oh goodness. Who's there? Latavius Murray. Looks like it's Latavius Murray's backfield now for the remainder of the season. And for Carolina, they announced just a couple of hours ago, Sam Darnold would be getting the start for the Carolina Panthers in this football game. So once again, just the absolute pinnacle of professional football right here. Melvin Gordon getting cut and Sam Darnold starting an NFL game in 2022. Both of these teams have been getting the small amount of success that they found over the last little while from the defensive side. Twice in the last 4 weeks, the Panthers have held an opponent under 20 points. And twice in the last 4 weeks, Denver has done the same. They've held an opponent to under 20 points. There's a slight upside with this Panthers offense where at least once in the last month, they have scored more than 30 points in a game. So they at least kind of have that upside, and it feels like there's no upside in Denver right now. They have way too many talented players to be as mediocre as they are. Denver has won one game in its last five. Carolina's only won two, but at the very least, two is better than one. I'll take the team with the offensive upside. I'll take the home dog. Give me the Carolina Panthers here to get the win at home over the Denver Broncos. Carolina upsets Denver. On the line, the Panthers are taking 2.5 points here as a home dog. I like them to win, so give me the plus 2.5 on the Panthers. Total in the game set at 36.5. I'm still going to take the under. I don't think either one of these teams gets to 20 points. So give me under 36.5. God, that's disgusting. Under 36.5 points in Denver, Carolina. Let's go Panthers 17, Denver 10. And I think this is the game. I said this on Twitter earlier today. For the folks who are the big fans of hashtag Fire Hackett, losing to the Carolina Panthers is probably the straw that breaks that camel's back. If they lose to the Panthers, would not be shocked to see Hackett fired on Monday. We'll just put it that way. My mind right says, knowing that about the statue, they will not lose. I'm in DC, but a Dallas fan. Chad says, I live in Regina, Saskatchewan, and I'm an Eagles fan. See, we can all come together. It's a rich tapestry. Martin says, I think if the Broncos lose big to Carolina, then Hackett may go. I'm not discounting in the least that this could be the straw that breaks the Broncos back. Broncos country, let's ride to the coaching free agency line to see who might be available for us. All right, the Baltimore Ravens in Jacksonville to take on the Jags. The Jacksonville Jaguars coming off of their bye, so they will have a bit of extra rest. They've only won one of their last 5 games, and they are notable as being the only team in the NFL who, over the last month, has neither scored more than 30 points in a game or held an opponent to under 20. They have not done either of those things in the past month, which means the offense is not on point, the defense is not on point. They've got pieces, but they're not putting them all together, obviously, with the fact they've only won one game in the last 5. The Ravens, they haven't scored more than 30 points over the last 4 weeks either, but the defense has clicked here over the last little bit. Twice in the last 4 weeks, they've held an opponent to under 20. They're also notable. They've won 4 of their last 5 games and one of the best turnover ratios in the NFL this season. It ranks, I think, top 5, top 6, somewhere in there. So they're generating turnovers. They're not turning the ball over. And don't look now, but I think J.K. Dobbins might be back either this week or next week. He's very close to returning. And if he can return at 100% of what he was at before, obviously this is the $1 million question with J.K. Dobbins, but if he can return to a percentage of what he was before, all of a sudden that Ravens rushing offense is deadly yet again. And Baltimore is not a team I would want to have to play in the playoffs. Obviously, I'm all over the Ravens in this game. Give me Baltimore in Jacksonville to get the win over the Jags. And I like that so much that Baltimore over Jacksonville is going to be my gold pick straight up this week. Baltimore over Jacksonville, my gold pick straight up. On the line, the Jags are only taking +4 here against the spread, which feels like a great gift to me in a situation where Baltimore's not going to be missing Lamar or something like that. So give me the -4 on Baltimore, and I'll just say thank you very much to Vegas for that. The fact that this number is under a touchdown feels pretty good. So let's take the -4 on the Ravens. Total in the game set at 43.5 points. I feel really, really good about the under in this game. I felt under from the second that I saw this number. We're going to lean under 43.5 in Baltimore, Jacksonville. I like that so much. In fact, I'm going to make that my platinum pick on my totals this week. Baltimore and Jacksonville under 43.5 points. My platinum pick on the totals. Let's go. Baltimore 24, Jacksonville 13. So give me the Ravens straight up. Give me the Ravens minus the 4, and give me the under on the points. The Los Angeles Chargers are in Arizona this week to take on the Cardinals. Now, obviously, the Cardinals are on the short week this week, having just played last night on Monday Night Football and then having to travel back home, obviously, from Mexico. So there's certainly some things to take into consideration when you're looking at the Cards side of things this week. And obviously, bit of a surprise there where Kyler Murray did not play in the game last night. I think was it Drew Stanton who wound up getting the start there. I certainly didn't expect it going into that game, but Call of Duty calls. So what are you going to do? Double XP is double XP. Both of these teams have won twice in their last 5 games, and actually neither one of these teams over the last 4 weeks has scored more than 30 points in a game, and only once for each of them have they held an opponent to under 20. So over the last little while, not a ton of difference between these two football teams, at least not in that measure. For the Chargers, there's a good chance they'll be playing this game without Mike Williams. He re-aggravated an ankle injury that has kept him out of the lineup for a little while. Both he and Keenan Allen came back last week, and I don't think either one of them finished the game. So the Chargers have to be smart here. They really got to be careful with some of their biggest weapons. I mean, Justin Herbert certainly is not having the season that I think most people, especially me as a fantasy football manager, were hoping that Justin Herbert would have. But they need, if they're going to make a push here at anything, they need all of their weapons available to them. So they got to play it careful with Mike Williams. I would be surprised if we see him play this week. Quite frankly, I don't really like either of these teams. I think Arizona should be getting Hollywood Brown back, which is certainly good news for them. They definitely need that. That will be a big boon to their offense. I guess I'll take the Chargers because I think defensively the Chargers are the better football team, so they can probably make the difference making plays on the defensive side of the ball. Let's take the Chargers here on the road in Arizona. Chargers get the win over the Cards. On the line, Arizona is taking +4, another line that I took a really, really close look at, but I really don't trust this Cardinals defense. So to cover +4 in a game that I don't think they're going to win didn't feel like a great hedge to me. So I'm going to go ahead and lay the points here on the Chargers. Chargers -4. Total in the game set at 47.5 points. I feel really good about this game getting into the 50s. So I'm going to take the over there on that total, over 47.5 in Chargers Cardinals. Let's take Chargers 30, Cardinals 21. Chargers win, Chargers cover, and give me the over on the points. I think I'd take the Chargers mainly because they're the road team, says Martin. Fair enough. If that's all it takes, that's all it takes. Five games left on the slate this week. Let's go. The Las Vegas Raiders on the road in Seattle taking on the Seahawks. And don't look now, but Seattle coming into this game off of their bye, well rested, winners of 4 of their last 5. So the Seahawks are starting to cook with gas here in an NFC West that is still wide open. So they can make this run here. Seattle to the playoffs is definitely actually a strong possibility. And imagine the storylines there. Seattle lets Russell Wilson go and then makes the playoffs the very next year, and Denver struggles mightily in their first year with Russ. The storylines write themselves, but Seattle playing pretty decent football here. Like I say, they're going to come in, they're going to be well rested. The offense has scored more than 30 points in recent memory. The defense has allowed fewer than 20 in recent memory. The Raiders have won twice in their previous 5 games. They are coming into this game on the tail end of back-to-back road games. And interestingly enough for the Raiders, it's their offense that has kind of sputtered. They have not scored more than 30 points at any point in the last 4 weeks. Their defense has held one opponent in that same time span to under 20. So it's a feather in the cap for them because that defense is not good. But the fact that the offense is sputtering as much as it is, even though like Devontae Adams, man, that guy is still he's the absolute best route runner in football. That route on the game-winning touchdown last week, Devontae called game, ate Patrick Surtain alive. Just ate him alive. Just said, whoop, okay, game. And he's gone. So like he's still probably my favorite wide receiver in football, even though he's not on my team anymore. Oh well. I think I got to ride the hot hand in this one. I think I got to ride the Seahawks. They're playing really good football, arguably their best football of the season right now, winners of 4 of the last 5. Let's ride the hot hand and take the Seahawks, Seattle, over the Raiders in Seattle. On the line, you got to buy the extra hook. Seattle is favored by 3.5 points here at home. I like them to win 2.5. I'd feel exceptionally comfortable at, but I think I'm going to take Seattle to cover this number. I think Seattle's actually quite good against the spread this year as a favorite. If I remember that correctly, they are, I think, either 2-0 or 3-1 or something like that. Like they've found success as betting favorites this year. I'm going to go ahead and lay that 3.5. It seems like a beatable number. -3.5 for Seattle. Total in the game set at 47.5 points. I really love my play on this one. We are going to stay under. Oh, no, wait a second. Yes, sorry. We're going to stay under 47.5. Sorry, I got lost there for a second. Under 47.5 points in Seattle, Las Vegas. And I like that so much that Las Vegas and Seattle under 47.5 is my bronze pick on my totals this week. Under 47.5 in Las Vegas, Seattle, my bronze pick on my totals. Let's go. Seattle 27, the Raiders 13. I have no faith in that Raiders defense. I like Seattle to win. I like Seattle to cover, and give me the under on the points. The Los Angeles Rams visit the Kansas City Chiefs in Week 12 action, and the Rams notably releasing Darrell Henderson earlier today. So they've cleared up some space in their running back room. It looks like it's going to be Cam Akers and Kyren Williams moving forward. Kyren Williams had the highest snap share in that Rams backfield in their game last week. Cam Akers out-touched him 2-1, but Kyron's getting more snaps. So it'll be really interesting to see how this Rams backfield works itself out over the next couple of weeks. The Rams coming off the tail end of back-to-back road games. They're one of the worst teams in the NFL in terms of the turnover ratio, turning the ball over way too much, not generating nearly enough on the defensive side. And interestingly enough for the Rams, they may not have Matt Stafford in this game. Matt Stafford, like Joe Mixon earlier, also suffering a concussion. So whether he will be available and get through concussion protocol, boy, this could be a rough outing for the Los Angeles Rams, especially if they don't have Matt Stafford. So could be a rough one here. We're definitely on the Kansas City Chiefs here, even though, interestingly enough, the Kansas City Chiefs, they're the number 1 scoring offense in the NFL. How many times in the last 4 weeks have the Kansas City Chiefs, and this is a question I'm asking to the people in chat, How many times in the last 4 weeks have the Kansas City Chiefs scored more than 30 points? More than 30 points. Insert the Jeopardy theme. Da, 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 da. I can't do it too much longer or else I'll get demonetized. Anybody? Anybody who didn't see my tweet earlier today? Chad says 3. Gorian has a great answer to that, which is as many as they needed to. That's true. Here's the number. It's 0. They have not at any point in the last 4 weeks scored more than 30 points. They just scored 30 last week, exactly 30. Remember, I asked more than 30, but they have not scored more than 30 at any point in the last 4 weeks. Gorian's technically correct, as many as they needed to, because look, the Chiefs, they've won 4 of their last 5. They're still the Chiefs. But yeah, they have not scored more than 30. So when we're looking at this spread and when we're looking at this total, you can think about it in terms of, oh, are they due? They might be due. Looks like they might not have Clyde Edwards-Helaire, even though it looks like he's just completely lost the backfield to Isaiah Pacheco. It doesn't look like they're going to have Kadarius Toney. I think he got hurt. So there's a lot of things that are, but again, with where it's the Chiefs, Gorian's saying it right here in the chat. They do what they need. They don't play to cover. No, exactly. They play to win. Absolutely. So against the spread, keeping all that in mind, the Kansas City Chiefs are favored by 14.5 points. 14.5. Now, if there's any team that you would say, I'll take them to cover 14.5 points, it would be Kansas City, because they're the highest scoring offense in football. However, Cat's in the chat. Cat is in the chat right now saying Carolina covered. The theory lives on. You're welcome. I'm taking the points with the Los Angeles Rams. I'm not laying 14.5 points on any team right now. Think about it this way. They could win this game. Kansas City could win this game 30-16. And a double-digit, exceptional, like a very convincing victory by multiple possessions and not cover the number. I'm just not doing it. I just refuse to do it. So give me the plus 14.5 on the Los Angeles Rams. And it might be a bad play, but it's my play. Total in this game set at 44 points. I don't think this gets to 44. I don't have a ton of faith in the Rams offense if Matt Stafford doesn't play. I think the Rams defense is capable of making plays. I think they're capable of keeping this game somewhat close. And I think we're going to go ahead and take the under here, even though with Kansas City, that is such a beatable number. But lately, Kansas City hasn't exactly been the offense that Kansas City normally is. So under 44 points in Kansas City, Los Angeles, give me 24-16 for the Kansas City Chiefs. Chiefs win by 8, plus 14.5 covers, and give me the under on the points. That I can already tell is going to be my least popular pick this week, easily. Let's see. Gorian says, as long as Kelsey plays, they win. Absolutely. Chad says, I'll take minus 15 only, pizza money. Gorian, RIP to your bet, as long as Kelsey plays. Well, maybe. My mind right says, I don't think Rams can get to 15 or 16 without Stafford. Who is the Rams' backup quarterback? I don't even know that right off the top of my head. Our lads, Rams. John Wolford or Bryce Perkins? Ugh. Well then. Bryce Perkins, a college free agent from 2020. Oh boy. That is yikes. Suddenly, I don't feel confident about my bets. All right. Three games left to talk about here. We will start with the New Orleans Saints on the road in San Francisco, taking on the 49ers. Obviously, the 49ers coming off of a very solid victory in Mexico City. So they are going to come into this with the detriment of the short week, but I don't think it'll have a huge impact on them. Niners have won 3 of their last 5 games. The Saints have won 2 of their last 5 games, and that's despite the offense not scoring more than 30 over the last 4 weeks and the defense only allowing less than 20 one time. But they've still won a couple of games. They're not out of it in the context of their division. That division is going to be wide open probably until the last couple of weeks of the season. But this Saints team, I've been talking about it all season long. They are still the worst team in the NFL in terms of the turnover ratio. Still the very, very bottom team in the NFL in terms of turnover ratio. And if you're going to be turning the ball over against the Niners team that has put up more than 30 points twice in the last 4 weeks and a defense that has allowed fewer than 20 3 times in the last 4 weeks, if you're going to start giving that team extra possessions, they're going to start running away with this thing. So I love the San Francisco 49ers in this spot. And honestly, they should probably be in my platinum, gold, silver, and bronze straight up, probably over Tampa Bay, but we'll stick with it. But I really like the Niners to pick up yet another win here. Niners get the win over the Saints. On the line, the Niners are laying 9.5 points here as a home favorite. And you know what I just talked about, which is like you start giving them extra possessions and they start to run away with it. That's what I think is going to happen. I've got the Niners covering this number. I think San Francisco minus 9.5 is going to be a hit. And I like that so much that Niners minus 9.5 is my bronze pick against the spread this week. Niners minus 9.5, my bronze pick against the spread. Total in this game set at 43.5 points. And actually, this total is going to find its way into my platinum, gold, silver, and bronze as well. I really like the over in this spot, and I don't think the Saints have to contribute too much to it in order for that to happen. The Niners might be the most complete team in the NFC right now. I think they're ready to make a run. Let's say Niners Eagles NFC Championship game. Can we talk about that? That might be a possibility. 43.5 points feels like a very beatable number, but Chad is now telling me check the 49ers weather. Okay, we're going to go right ahead. We're going to hop on to covers and we're going to take a look at the weather. Join me while we take a look at the weather. So let's see, hourly forecast. All right, covers is not helping. All right, so San Francisco weather, Levi's Stadium. Isn't this just riveting live streaming? Just absolutely riveting. So for Sunday, let's see, Fahrenheit. For Sunday, looks like it's mid 60s and overcast. Seems fine. Doesn't look like there's much wind. Doesn't look like there's much precipitation. Looks like that's all pushed off to Monday. Seems like it should be fine. Santa Clara. Sunday, same deal. All the rain that looks like it's coming has been pushed off to Monday. So I think we should be fine. We are going to go ahead and grab the over on that 43.5 points. It's such a beatable number. And again, I don't think the Saints have to contribute too much to that. So let's go over 43.5 points. And I like that so much that Saints Niners over 43.5 is going to be the gold pick this week on the total. Saints 49ers over 43.5, my gold pick on the total. Let's go Niners 31, Saints 17. Niners win, Niners cover that minus 9.5, and give me the over on the points. Chad, I'm picky. Sorry, but thank you. No worries. Look, that was where you pointed that out specifically. You're my weather guy. You're my weather guy. You play an important role in this. So if that was enough for you to say, hey, you might want to take a look at this, it's worth my while to take a look at it, and I can pivot. That's the great part of being live, right? So I like it. I honestly, please continue to do that, Chad, because if you can contribute to me making a correct pick, then 2 thumbs up. I'm all for it. All right, the Sunday night game, the Green Bay Packers at the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles, we talk about turnover ratio a little bit here this week. The Eagles, the number 1 team in the NFL in terms of their turnover ratio, better than +1 on the ratio per game this season. I think they're like +12 in 11 games or something like that. I think +12 in 11 games or +12 in 10 games or whatever it happens to be. The Eagles generate a ton of turnovers and they do not turn the ball over themselves. So definitely something they have to think about. And this defense is really clicking over the last month or so, over the last 4 weeks. 3 times this defense has held an opponent under 20 points en route to winning 4 of their last 5. The Green Bay Packers, they do have the benefit of the long week, which is nice to come into this game with a couple of extra days worth of prep. They've only won 1 game in their last 5. 1 time in the last 4 games, they've scored more than 30 points. 1 time in the last 4 games, they've held an opponent to less than 20. So, let me tell you a little story about teams fighting for their lives. This is exactly what Green Bay is doing now. And it's exactly what no Packers fan thought they were going to be doing in week 12. Like, no Packers fan thought that in week 12, the Packers were going to be fighting for their playoff lives. Nobody thought that was going to be the case. But from here on out, it has to be playoff football. There's no alternative. Has to be playoff football. Basically, it's a lose and go home. And it's the worst possible time to have to play a team like Philadelphia. There have been bigger upsets than this, but it's tough to think of one. I'm taking the Packers. I'm going to be a total homer. I'm going to be a total homer on this. I am going to take the Green Bay Packers on the road in Philadelphia to beat the Eagles. It is not a good pick. It's an upset pick straight up. I'm going to get laughed out of certain buildings, but I don't know. Green Bay has to win out. The only way they're making even a chance to bid at one of those last wild card spots is if they win out from here. A little bit of good news. Before I came on live, I did see that Green Bay is bringing Geronimo Allison in for a workout. He's a guy that's been in the building before. Aaron Rodgers is familiar with him, and having a wide receiver that he's familiar with and has confidence in, a definite plus. But man, my mind right makes an interesting point here. He did it in '09 when he beat Vic's Eagles in the playoffs. Interesting. Very, very interesting. Look, if you want to call this a homer pick, you're right. It is. It absolutely is. I'm taking Green Bay in a big upset win over the Eagles. And since I'm doing that, since the Eagles are laying -7, I'm taking the 7 points on the Green Bay Packers. So taking Green Bay plus the 7 points. Total in the game set at 46.5. I think both of these teams are predicated a bit more on their defense right now than they are on the offensive side. So I'm going to go ahead and take the under in this one. Under 46.5 points in Green Bay, Philadelphia. Give me 23-21 in favor of Green Bay. Mason Crosby kicks the game-winning field goal, and it galvanizes the Packers on their run to the number 7 seed in the NFC. Shut up and let me dream. Let's see. Too scary to pick this Philadelphia game. I took Green Bay +7. Please, Mr. Cheeseheads. That's what Chad says. Gorian, I have Philadelphia on that lock ticket. Gorian, more retro Packers. Bring back Donald Driver. Somebody call is Greg Jennings still alive? I suppose I probably shouldn't say that. But yeah, Jordy Nelson, Donald Driver, bring them all back. Bring back Eddie Lacy. Find Eddie Lacy at a buffet somewhere. Bring them all back. All right, the Monday night football game, the Philadelphia. Your boy's tired. Sorry. The Monday night football game, the Pittsburgh Steelers, the other team in that state, the Pittsburgh Steelers on the road in Indianapolis taking on the Colts. Can we petition the NFL to just say have everybody look that way, and we'll just move the Cincinnati Tennessee game to Monday night and move this game to somewhere in that 1 p.m. slot on Sunday where people can choose not to watch it. Nothing against both of these teams, but that's your Monday night football game. I don't get it. I don't understand. But it's what we have. So no, yeah, and Martin very correctly brings up the Monday night games apparently never get flexed. No, it sucks because teams deserve to have Monday night games. So trying to flex a game out of Monday night, you can flex a game to Sunday night football, but one of the earlier games, but to flex it to a whole different day, I don't think they'd ever do. These two teams have combined to win 3 of their last 10 games. Neither one of these teams has scored more than 30 points in the last 4 weeks. Pittsburgh has held one opponent to under 20. Indianapolis has held 2 opponents under 20, including the Philadelphia Eagles just a couple of days ago. So maybe the defensive side of things is starting to turn around for this Colts team. It's entirely possible. However, they are still turning the ball over at a rate that is a bit too much for my liking, certainly for the amount of turnovers they're generating on the defensive side. So they got to protect the ball better than they are. Is this a game to just take the dog? Just take the dog and assume that it's 2 not very good teams, and whichever one happens to suck less that particular week winds up winning it? I assume that that's probably the way a number of people are going to go with this. So I guess that's the way I'm going to go with it too. I'm going to grab the Pittsburgh Steelers on the road in Indianapolis to get the win over the Indianapolis Colts. Pittsburgh goes into Indy and gets the win over the Colts. On the line, Indianapolis is laying 2.5 points here as a home favorite. I totally understand it. I'm taking Pittsburgh to win the game, so obviously give me the plus 2.5 on the Steelers. Total in the game set at 39.5 points. It's a low total. It is very beatable, but I'm still going to stay under on it because which one of these teams is going to get to this is a race to 20. Like, which one of these teams is going to get to 20 points first? I just think it's going to be Pittsburgh. So give me under 39.5 points in Pittsburgh, Indianapolis. Let's go Pittsburgh 20, Indy 17. Steelers win, Steelers cover, and give me the under on the points. There you have it, folks. Those are your picks for week 12 in the NFL. Let's go over the platinum, gold, silver, and bronze plays straight up against the spread and over under just one more time. Platinum, gold, silver, and bronze straight up. My platinum pick is Kansas City over the LA Rams. My gold pick is the Baltimore Ravens over Jacksonville. My silver pick is the Dallas Cowboys on Thanksgiving over the New York Giants. And my bronze pick, the Tampa Bay Bucks over the Cleveland Browns. Against the spread, my platinum pick, the New York Giants, plus 9.5. My gold pick, the Tennessee Titans, plus 2.5. My silver pick, the Houston Texans, plus 13. And my bronze pick, the San Francisco 49ers, minus 9.5. And on the totals, my platinum pick, Baltimore and Jacksonville, under 43.5 points. My gold pick, New Orleans and San Francisco, over 43.5. My silver pick, the Houston Texans and Miami Dolphins, under 46.5 points. And my bronze pick, Las Vegas and Seattle, under 47.5. That's it for me, folks. Thank you so much for taking the time to stop in on this Week 12 show. We're hoping to turn the ship around after a little bit of a down week last week. Let's just get the rudders pointed in the right direction here, and let's go over 500, well over 500 across the board this week. That's it for me, Justin, Bridgewater's Finest on YouTube, Blockbuster_guy on Twitter, fueled as always by the incredible folks at Nerd Tees. Thank you so much for taking the time to stop in, and we will see you again for lucky number 13 in the NFL. Once again, to my American viewers, have a great Thanksgiving weekend. Enjoy your families, enjoy some great food, and enjoy those football games on Thursday as well. We'll see you again for week 13. All right, folks, usually there's a bit more post-amble, I guess, at the end of the stream, but my throat is killing me right now, so I'm going to go ahead and cut it short there. We are going to stop our audio recording. We got it. Awesome. Thank you so much for taking the time to stop in on the stream, folks. Next week, don't quite know what the scheduling is going to be as of yet. I will try to tell you hopefully a couple of days in advance. I like being able to tell you on the weekend at some point when the stream is going to be. Wasn't able to do that this week, only told you this morning. But hey, Justin, Vegas sees me and has 3 games at minus 9.5. I know, I noticed that too, Kat. It's like, look, the second you put something in double digits, this cat sucker has us figured out. So I did notice that 3 games were at 9.5, but not at 10. So it's interesting because I think there are folks in social media with these leagues. I know it's the case in the CFL. I know there's folks at the head office in CFL who are aware of my show's existence. It's weird, but I know for a fact that it's the case. So it's probably the case in the NFL as well, that they have so many people, you know, that somebody is aware of this thing that you've been talking about. I'm sure somebody's aware of the rule of 4 because I've been talking about it for years now. Thank you so much for stopping in and watching the stream. We will see you guys again for week 13. Thank you so much. Enjoy Thanksgiving. Enjoy the games. We'll see you next week.